Hey lovelies, welcome to my 6-week postpartum video. I'm going to be going through the updates that I've had from giving birth to now. I did just post my labor and delivery vlog and that went live today. So if you guys haven't seen that, have no idea what happened in my second labor and delivery, I will link that up on the top of the screen here and down in the description box. I am currently sitting in a Starbucks drive-through line. I have a little bit of time, like a very little bit of time before I have to go to physical therapy, and the Starbucks line is so long. People are definitely in Kansas getting super stir crazy and are ready to like get back to their lives, if you will, which there's so much to be said about that. I am so excited for multiple reasons to be sitting right here with you guys right now, because this is the first time I'm driving in 6 weeks, over 6 weeks actually, because pretty much the last several weeks of appointments, Donald was driving me to those appointments. You know, I was getting out of the house here and there because all of our labor and delivery happened like literally right when all the stay-at-home orders went into effect and all of the COVID stuff got really crazy. So I cannot tell you how good it feels to be back driving. If you're wondering why I haven't been driving, it's because I had a C-section. So again, you may want to go watch my labor and delivery vlog video just to kind of get caught up. And one of the recommendations that they have for people is to not drive after you've had major abdominal surgery. But I am back at it today. I just had my 6-week appointment follow-up this morning. It was a virtual appointment because of COVID-19, and I've got the go-ahead, you know, the clear to do normal, back to like regularly scheduled activities, all of that good stuff. Another positive note is I was able to stop my blood thinner injections today. Woo! Woo! You guys, I have been on injections since before I got pregnant because they wanted me to do them while I was trying to conceive. So I've been on injections for months, basically over a year now. Is that right? It was a long time. And my stomach, my abdomen is going to be so happy that I don't have to do them anymore. So they've now switched me from a injection blood thinner to an oral blood thinner. I'm back to taking aspirin because I am breastfeeding. Normally I take a heavier duty blood thinner orally, but I can't take that right now, at least until I'm done breastfeeding. Hopefully, on my way to physical therapy and just sitting in line here, I'm going to be able to share with you guys everything that's been happening, how I've been feeling after labor and delivery, and kind of go over just where I've been at and what life is like now that we have 2 girls instead of just 1. I can't even believe that still. So I did give birth end of March and I had a C-section. I ended up staying in the hospital for about 5. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is what happens. So I went into the hospital thinking I was gonna have a vaginal birth because that's what happened with my first. So of course, why wouldn't it happen with my second? But again, you guys will have to watch the labor and delivery vlog to figure out why. It was so ridiculous. I ended up having a C-section after being in labor for basically an entire day and having my water broken. So I moved forward with C-section, and that ended up causing us to stay in the hospital for almost 5 days. And you guys, that was so hard, not just like on me physically and mentally, like because I am somebody who really enjoys getting back home. I think there's a lot to be said for being a first-time mom and like having that extra assistance from the nursing staff. Some people really enjoy that, especially I want to say first-time moms. However, I am just so independent, and now that I've had my second baby, or now that I've already had a baby, I kind of know like what life is going to be like at home, and it's not as intimidating. So I was just ready to get home because I just knew it was going to be so much better. Also, this time around, I had a daughter at home already. I had one child at home, and it was so hard for my 2-year-old to not see us for days and to video chat with us over the phone, because again, we didn't anticipate being gone that long. So if anything, I would just recommend that maybe you mentally prepare yourself for the possibility of having a C-section, even if it's never been on your radar before, just so that it's not a complete surprise like it was for me. Hey, can I do a grande vanilla sweet cream cold brew with sweet cream cold foam? My recovery in the hospital, I would say, was rough. I have never had any type of major surgery like that, and it is a major surgery. So much so that it was really affecting like how you were able to walk around. And again, that's my experience, so that doesn't necessarily mean everybody has as difficult of a time, but I definitely, like, I was having to get assistance pretty much for every movement for the first 2 days, and then even after that, Donald was having to like lift my legs for me because I couldn't in and out of the bed, which is so annoying for somebody who just wants to get home, who wants to be independent. Most of you have been following along with my journey this entire time frame, and so you will know that in my first labor and delivery, I had almost complete bladder loss, bladder function loss. And so this second time, I was very nervous about that happening again. I was also very nervous about having a hemorrhage again, and thankfully neither of those things happened. I will say, the first time I tried to go to the bathroom after my C-section, and after they removed the catheter, I could not go to the bathroom, and I immediately like started spiraling into kind of a panic attack type situation. I think a lot of that was really influenced by my previous experience, of course, and thankfully I had a nurse who kind of knew a couple immediate relaxing techniques, using things like peppermint oil, and basically I kind of had to use some of the things that I've been building up this whole time. So some of the kind of calming meditation type techniques to kind of reframe my mind and then focus on going to the bathroom, using the Peri bottle to kind of encourage it, and then just over time, like working my bladder back up to regular function, finally happened. But in the hospital, it was a scary situation. I feel like I'm treating myself. It's the first time I'm getting out, so why not go by Starbucks? I know it's not essential. In case you guys are wondering, we do live in the Kansas City Metro, and as of right now, they just extended the stay-at-home order to May 10th. But the governor of Kansas is planning on reopening the state slowly. We are expecting her to give us her announcement on how she plans to do that later today. So that's kind of where we're at with Kansas. I really feel like they keep pushing it out just a tiny bit further, and then they push it out a tiny bit further again. And I think the frustrating part to me is, somebody who's a planner, I really like to have information as quickly as I can, and obviously I have to be understanding of the situation that we're in, but I just feel like they give us these updates so last minute, and that's what is the most frustrating. And I feel so bad for all of the small businesses and people who like really need to plan for like what's ahead, because, you know, continuing to have these restrictions in place are going to, you know, damage a lot of people in a lot of different ways. A few other things to talk about in the hospital. I did have an issue with my supply again. My daughter was almost 9 pounds and she came out starving. She also had an initial blood sugar issue that resolved, thank God. But she was starving, like more so than just keeping her at the breast was resolving, because I know the answer typically is to keep nursing your baby. Your supply will come in. It's based off of supply and demand. However, I have several different risk factors. One of them, my blood type specifically, seems to be linked to babies who have jaundice. Both of my babies have now had moderately severe jaundice in the hospital, and because of that, it causes extra concern for your supply and what the baby is consuming, or how much the baby is consuming exactly, because that is how they're excreting what they need to in order to improve their jaundice levels. So because of that, I was using a hospital grade pump in the hospital. If you guys aren't aware, you can talk to your nursing staff about using a pump in the hospital. And they specifically, well, typically will have a hospital grade pump. So I was pumping basically every 2 hours, or after every single feed, and I was getting nothing. It was so disheartening. So we ended up supplementing towards the end because of the association with her jaundice levels getting worse, and the fact that my supply was like legit not coming in. Another option would have been to continue to wait and to continue letting her jaundice levels increase until they improved on their own, like assuming my colostrum would come in and my supply would come in and it would resolve on its own. However, that would have caused us to stay in the hospital even longer. And like I told you guys, we were already there for 5 days, and it was right in the middle of the madness of COVID-19. And to me, I had to weigh like what was best for our family, and that was getting home, getting us all home safely. So we made the decision to start supplementing in the hospital, and she was like immediately so much more satisfied. Obvious. Some of you have reached out to me over on my Instagram about how breastfeeding is going, and I still have the same issue as I did with my first labor and delivery, or my first breastfeeding experience, and that is just a chronic low supply. I do, and I have read articles about low supply being linked to people with PCOS or hormonal issues in general, but because of that, I've been breastfeeding on demand, I've been pumping, and then I've been bottle feeding with both supplement and also expressed milk. So it's a lot. I'm basically doing 3 times the duty. Thank God Donald has been home on his paternity leave. He's been so helpful in regards to that. One thing that COVID-19 took away from me was I could not have my daughter come to the hospital to meet her sister, which is so sad, you guys. That literally was a moment that was ripped away from us. And again, you know, there are worse things in the world and we made it through, but it's okay that I am sad about that. And like, it's okay that I have to kind of work through that loss of that memory and of that moment. Once we got home, things seem, you guys, honestly, relatively easy. Now let me clarify, adding another child is not easy, but it is not the whirlwind of chaos that maybe I thought it was going to be. Okay, let me clarify. Having 2 kids is not a walk in the park by any means, but what I found was I was very nervous before having 2 children, and it's doable, I should say. It's not an impossible scenario, so that's good. As I've explained here and on my Instagram, I am having to really carve out time to get things, certain things like YouTube or Instagram or any of that accomplished, whereas before maybe I had way more time than I even realized. And it's difficult in a sense of I'm now split into 2. So my eldest daughter needs something, my youngest daughter needs something, and I'm split. I have to be split. I have to juggle that. And I'm definitely still in the process of like that transition and working through that and finding the most successful way to be split between your children. So if you guys have multiple kids and you've figured out the secret of how to kind of juggle everything perfectly, or at least slightly well, let me know. Leave me a comment down below. I will take all the tips to like speed this transition up as much as possible. I have heard from a lot of people with 3 kids that it's like, once you have 3 kids, you'll still look back just the same as now and say, oh, I had so much time when I had 2 kids. Whereas like right now I'm saying, oh, I had so much time when I had 1 child. So you do have time. There is still time for yourself, and you know, life goes on. It's doable. I'll just keep saying that. It's doable. My recovery at home has been extremely rough. Part of that might be because I have a really hard time not doing anything. A recovery in which they want you to kind of sit down, put your feet up, not drive, not do extra activity, not lift things heavier than 10 pounds or whatever it is. All of that's really difficult for me. I actually ended up having a severe reaction to the NSAID medication that I was taking. So I basically had an ulcer reaction, and I was no longer able to take any type of NSAID. So I was trying to recover from a C-section with just Tylenol, and let me tell you, Tylenol does not really cut it, at least for me in my situation. I would honestly say, you guys, it took me about 5 weeks before I started feeling slightly normal again. Like I could slightly start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, where I was going to be able to get back to my normal activity regimen, where I was going to be able to start doing things the way that I wanted to. And for me, it was just really hard because I didn't realize it was going to take that long. I'm going to go inside now to my physical therapy office. The reason I'm going to physical therapy is because I started after my initial labor and delivery, after my first labor and delivery with my first daughter, and the bladder function issue that I had, along with a lower back issue that I had after giving birth to my first daughter. It was recommended that I see a pelvic floor physical therapist, and I'm so thankful that I did. I connected with somebody really amazing in the pelvic floor physical therapy community, and I'm so glad. I've been following along with the same woman for ever since then, and I feel so confident in her care. It just makes me feel really good about my progress and the game plan that she has for me in regards to my healing. If you guys have ever given birth, I highly recommend getting yourself to a pelvic floor physical therapist. The woman that I see says everybody could benefit from an evaluation. A lot of times there's things that happen in women's pelvic floors that people will kind of bat off as normal, and they're not actually normal maybe. So one of the biggest ones is leakage. So a lot of times women are like, oh, I just occasionally leak now that I've had 2 or 3 or 4 children, and that's just how it is. And the woman I go to says, no, that's actually not normal, and you should see somebody so that you could improve your overall quality of life. I ended up going back to physical therapy because of that reason. I wanted to kind of do a check-in on where my bladder health is at, my pelvic floor health after having a second baby. Other than that, that is all I'm going to be including in today's 6-week postpartum video after my C-section of baby number 2, with baby number 2. If I left anything out, or if you guys have any questions, as always, feel free to leave me a comment down below or DM me over on my Instagram. I'm happy to talk things through with you guys. I know so many of you are going through this experience being pregnant, whether it's your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever number baby, and the pandemic is just kind of adding in a bunch of extra stress, and everybody just kind of seems to be reaching out in hopes of finding somebody who can kind of relate to what they're going through. So I'm happy to help you guys out in any way that I can in regards to sharing my experience. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. If you haven't already, I would love to have you as a regular subscriber of the Sykes Fam channel. So be sure to hit the subscribe button down below before you leave. I still plan on having a lot more content coming out surrounding everything that's going on, where we're at currently as a new family of 4. And I'm gonna start including more vlog style videos because for me, that's gonna be the most fun, I think, to look back on. And I think that's where I'm gonna be able to share the most information of what's going on, what kinds of things are helping me as a new mom of 2, and yeah, connect with you guys the most. So I hope you guys are doing okay. Stay strong, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.